Want to elevate your display game and take it to another level? Want to bring class and sophistication to your collection? Want to turn on your significant other to your collecting prowess? Introducing The Platform by Pop Culture Living Room. The platform is an elegant and sophisticated display to showcase your collectibles. I wanted to make the platform because a lot of the time when I'm sitting at my desk and I get a new figure, I want to play around with it and pose it. That's why I'm into 1/6 scale figures. If I didn't care about the play aspect of these figures, I would buy statues. And incidentally, you can use the platform for small statues. Hell yeah! The platform is not hard to make, and when it's all said and done, you will absolutely love it. Stick around till the end to find out all the possibilities of the platform. Want to help the channel so I can bring you more amazing tutorials? Consider becoming a channel member. Perks include shoutouts in videos and live streams, priority reply to comments, and early access to my videos, where you will be able to watch videos 3 days before everyone else. Your membership and support will go a long way in helping the channel grow. And thank you to my current channel members: Louis Labitz, Commander Green, 6 Scale Shiro, The Bro Collector, 1/6 Syndicate, Gergamus, Blue Tattoo, and Preston Hoskins. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Another way you can help is by purchasing merch. You can grab these amazing t-shirts and other items using the links below from Teespring. And you can get these 2 great t-shirts by contacting me at popculturelivingroom@gmail.com. See the description below for additional information. Prologue. I wanted to make this project as easy as possible, so I sourced most of the materials I needed from Amazon, excluding the aluminum extrusions. Initially, I wanted to make the platform 10 inches by 10 inches, so I ordered a 10 inch by 10 inch piece of 7328 white acrylic from Amazon. When it arrived, it was slightly under 10 inches by 10 inches, so I adjusted the length of the frame to the size of the acrylic sent from Amazon. If you want to make your platform exactly the way I did, use the links in the description to buy your supplies, especially the white acrylic. Otherwise, make it any size you want and follow the instructions. Now let's get this party started. Hit it! The frame. In this section, I'll go into detail about how I figured out the sizes of the aluminum pieces I needed for the platform. I do this so you can make your platform any size you want. Otherwise, I could have easily given you the sizes I used for this particular platform without any explanation. And what fun would that have been? The frame for your platform will consist of 8 pieces of aluminum extrusion. You can grab your aluminum extrusions from Ooze Nest. I prefer Ooze Nest because they will cut your aluminum to size and thread your holes. Not those holes, you dirty animals. We'll use 4 pieces of 2040 V-slot extrusion and 4 pieces of 2020 V-slot extrusion. The 2040 V-slot will be used as the sides and the 2020 V-slot will be used as 4 posts. The length of the frame was based on the length of the acrylic from Amazon, which is 9 15/16 by 9 15/16 or 252 millimeters by 252 millimeters. Now, to get your aluminum the right size, we'll need to take into consideration that the 2020 aluminum is 20 millimeters wide. The 2040 V-slot will be flanked by 2 2020 V-slot extrusions, so the total width of the 2 2020 V-slot extrusions will be 40 millimeters wide. To figure out the length of the 2040 V-slot, we'll take 252 millimeters and subtract the 40 millimeters of the 2 2020 V-slot extrusions to get the size of 212 millimeters. When you're ordering your V-slot from Ooze Nest, you want to order the 4 pieces of 2040 V-slot to be 212 millimeters long and the 4 pieces of 2020 V-slot to be 40 millimeters long. The reason for the 40 millimeter length for the 2020 V-slot is because when we turn it upright to make a post, it has to be the same height as the 2040 V-slot width. The other thing you want to do when you order for the 2040 V-slot, you're going to want to have every hole threaded. And for the 2020 V-slot, you only need one side threaded. You find out why later in the video. Next, we'll need to drill 4 holes into the 2020 V-slot extrusion so that we can have access to the screws that are going to be screwed into the 2040 V-slot extrusion. This will be how we connect our frame. You can drill these holes in one of 2 ways. First, you can use a ruler and mark a spot 10 millimeters in from each edge and use a center punch and a hammer to mark the hole. Then take your drill and drill the holes. Make sure you coat your drill bits with cutting fluid It makes things so much easier when drilling. Or 2, you can use a jig. I found a 3D print file online for a jig that can help you cut holes in the exact spots you need from Fun King 3D. Link in the description. I don't have a 3D printer, so I found a company that 3D prints files for you. Link also in the description. Then I added the metal bushings that are required. I got them from Zorro.com. The great thing about this jig is it has the 2 holes you need for drilling built in. It's super easy to use a jig. You just slide the jig on the end of the aluminum extrusion, clamp it down, pour a little bit of cutting fluid, and then start drilling. After you're done drilling, you're gonna wanna clean your pieces using a little bit of degreaser and a rag. You wanna get the little bits of aluminum filings out of the channels and clean off the cutting fluid. Now let's put the frame together to see how it turned out. Take an M5 by 1mm washer along with an M5 by 10mm button head screw and screw these into all the 2040 aluminum extrusion holes. Take your 2020 V-slot and flip it so that the threaded side is down. Slide the 2020 extrusion over the bolts and washers, making sure that the washer is in the channel of the 2020 V-slot frame post, and then slide the Allen key through the hole and tighten up your screws. There you have it. The frame of the platform is complete. Pretty solid and easy. The bottom panels. In this part, we're gonna make 2 bottom panels. We'll be using 3mm thick PVC sheets. Only one of the 2 panels is required, but the optional second panel might be something you wanna do for aesthetics reasons. The required bottom panel is going to be white so that it reflects the light from the LED lights that we'll be adding later. We'll be sliding the PVC into the bottom slots of the 2040 V-slot. The length of the PVC sheet will need to be the length of the 2040 V-slot pieces, which are 212mm plus 5mm on all sides so that it lays inside the channel. This will give us a bottom panel of 222mm by 222mm. We'll also be cutting out a 5mm by 5mm piece from each corner of the PVC. Let's place our board on the table and measure out 222mm. Take a T-square and line it up with the mark we made, and make a line. Take a straight edge and line it up on the line, and take a razor knife and make a cut. And there you have it. Now we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Cutting PVC sheets is so easy. Like butter, baby. Time to cut the corners. Measure 5mm in from each edge of the corner and make a mark. Then take a T-square and line it up and make a line all the way down the piece of PVC sheet. Do this for all 4 sides. You will have 4 lines that are 5mm away from the edge. You will notice that there is a box on each corner. We'll be cutting out this box using a razor knife. And there you have it, your white PVC sheet cut to size and notches cut out in each corner. The last thing we're gonna wanna do is add an opening to the bottom panel so that our cord from the lights can slide through. Pick which part of the platform will be the back. The opening will go on the left side of the platform. So if we're facing the platform, the notch for the wire is on the left side in the back. Making the notches easy. Measure a width that is as wide as the wire for the lighting, and then measure 15mm up from the edge and cut the piece out. Now, if you want to add a black panel to the bottom of the platform, then just follow the same instructions. After we're finished making the bottom panels, it's on to the top panels. Tally-ho! Top panel. I use 7328 white acrylic, which is translucent and will allow light through. We're going to connect the acrylic top panel to the frame using magnets. I use magnets because magnets can keep your acrylic in place while also allowing the top panel to be removed with ease. This will allow for access to the inside of the platform for possible light repairs, and as previously mentioned, it will allow for interchangeable top panels, like this one, with a flight stand, which I will show you how to make this later in the video. The first thing we're gonna need to do is add industrial strength double-sided tape to small, super strong neodymium magnets. They're magnets, and they're little, but they are strong as hell. What I like to do is put the 2 magnets together so that I know that the polarity is correct and that they will stick together. Place one magnet onto a piece of double-sided tape and remove the other magnet. Then cut the tape so that it is the same size as the magnet. Add the other magnet back on and then place the double-sided tape on the back of that magnet. Cut the tape to size. Now you have 2 magnets with double-sided tape. We'll need to do this to 3 more sets. Now we won't be using both double-sided magnets, as we'll be adhering one of the magnets with double-sided tape to the acrylic sheet, and for the corresponding magnet, we're going to be using epoxy to glue it to the frame. The reason we're using two different adhesion methods is if we use double-sided tape for both magnets, the acrylic sheet would not lay flush on the frame. To get the perfect placement for the magnets on the acrylic sheet, place two magnets together, both having double-sided tape, into the channel of the frame. We want to keep the double-sided tape on both magnets for this step so that the magnet on top is a little raised above the frame of the platform and will allow the acrylic to make contact with the double-sided tape. Remove the top paper of the double-sided tape and carefully bring down the acrylic sheet to line up perfectly over the frame. Press down so that the tape can stick to the acrylic sheet. Now pull up the acrylic sheet and you'll see that all four magnet sets are stuck on the acrylic. This double-sided tape is very strong. Strong enough to rip off the exterior layer of the magnet, and I've done that. Next, remove the outer second magnet that has the double-sided tape. Now we're going to add a second magnet that does not have tape to the magnets taped to the acrylic sheet. I used Gorilla Glue epoxy, which works great for this project. You squeeze the syringe onto the paper and then mix it together. The epoxy comes with a plastic stirrer so you can mix the epoxy together. Using your stirrer, we're going to dab a little bit of epoxy on each of the connected magnets. Make sure you get a good amount on each magnet. Finally, we are going to carefully place the acrylic sheet back onto the frame, making sure that the magnets go into the channels. We don't want to get epoxy everywhere, then accidentally glue our acrylic to our frame. That would suck. The great thing about epoxy is we have a little bit of leeway on being able to move around the acrylic sheet so that it is perfectly lined up with the frame. Basically 5 minutes. Once you get it perfectly lined up, put a towel and something heavy on top, let it sit for 24 hours. Once that's set, your acrylic top can go on and come off the frame. Optional top panel. As I previously stated, the cool thing about this display is if you make multiple top panels, you can swap them out. This next part is for all you action figure collectors, whether you collect 1/6 scale, 1/12 scale, or even 3 3/4 inch. I'm gonna show you how to add a stand to your acrylic, or in this case, a flight stand. The first thing we're going to have to do is figure out where we're going to put the hole. We want it dead center and in the back of the platform. We know we have to have it at least 20 millimeters in from the edge because of the frame, but we don't want it too close to the edge. I came up with the perfect spot of 40 millimeters from the edge, dead center. Measure the center first. The frame is 252 millimeters, so we want to measure to 126 millimeters and mark it. Next, measure the 40 millimeter spot from the back edge of the acrylic sheet and mark it. Take a T-square and make a line from the midpoint. Where the line crosses the 40 millimeter mark is where we're gonna drill. Use a 9 millimeter drill bit or a 5/16 drill bit and drill the hole. Oh yeah, look at that perfect fit. To screw in the flight pole, we're gonna be using an M8 by 18 millimeter flat washer. The thick washer will help distribute some of the pressure off of the acrylic so it doesn't crack. Use an M8 by 1 millimeter pitch hex nut and screw that into the flight pole. To finish the panel off, we need to add magnets to the acrylic. This will be much easier since we only need to add the magnets to the acrylic. Take 4 magnets with double-sided tape on one side and add them to the magnets glued to the frame. Remove the paper and place the acrylic over the frame. Make sure the sides line up and are even. When you pull the panel off, your magnets should stick on the acrylic. And there you have it, a second display panel for your platform that you can swap. The second panel is great for adding stability or increased posability of your figures. I just love how these acrylic panels pop on and off the platform. It's very satisfying. Optional top panel 2. If you want to give your platform an extra dimension of class, then upgrade the white acrylic to black white acrylic. I absolutely love this acrylic. When the light is off, it is a black smoky gray color, but then you turn on the light and it accentuates the color of the LEDs. This looks spectacular. spectacular. Black white acrylic is not easy to come by in small quantities, and you have to get it from a place that specializes in acrylic. It's also a bit more expensive. I will be stocking black white acrylic panels in the Pop Culture Living Room store. If you are watching this video and the store isn't open yet, you can contact me at popculturelivingroom@gmail.com. I will leave information in the description about how to obtain black white acrylic and the cost. Lights. In this section, we'll be measuring and cutting the lights. I went with RGBW cob lights with a cool white light. The cool thing about these lights is that there are separate LEDs for the colored lights and white lights, giving you a true white light. Another cool thing about these lights is that they are high density with 896 LED lights per meter. Holy shit! This will give us a smooth and continuous light source without any hotspots. And let me tell you, you don't want a hotspot. These lights come in 12 volt and 24 volt varieties. Either voltage is fine. Just make sure that the power source you buy matches the voltage. So if you have 12 volt lights, you buy a 12 volt power supply, or your lights are gonna blow. For the platform, we will be adding one row of lights to the aluminum extrusion at the flat part between the two channels. Previously, I tried 2 rows of LED lights, but the heat from the LEDs heated the aluminum, so the platform became hot. Not hot enough to burn you, but hot enough to startle, and I didn't feel comfortable showing you that method. Though, the 1 row is plenty for the platform. So we don't have to solder anything, I decided to use the LED's wire connector that is already attached. With the roll I used, which is 9.8 feet, you could easily make 2 platforms without soldering. To measure the light strip, we are going to need a starting point. We have already decided that the light's wire connector will go out of the platform through the back left part of the display. This will be our starting point. Take the LED connector and slide it through the opening in the back and have the LED strip start in this spot here. Slowly move around the platform with the LED lights, making sure that the strip goes deep into the corners and around the frame. When we get back to the beginning, we want the LED light strip to overlap the connector. Pick the cutting point just after the overlap and make your cut. Put the LEDs aside until it's time to put everything together. Putting it all together. Now it's time for the fun part. The first thing we're gonna do is remove the 2040 and 2 2020 extrusions from the front of the frame because we're gonna need to slide in the bottom panels. We'll also need to take the bottom screws off of the frame so that the bottom panels can slide in easily. Slide in your bottom panel, making sure that your back notch for the wire is facing towards the back left of the frame. Add your black bottom panel to be at the bottom of the platform if you opted to make the black bottom panel. Black bottom panels, you make the rockin' world go round. Now you have your 2 panels together. The white on top to reflect the light, and the black on bottom to give it that nice look if you happen to turn it over. Add the bottom screws back to the 2040 extrusion so we can put the front of the frame on again. This is going to be a little different than what you normally would do when putting together an aluminum frame with panels. We're going to take the front 2040 extrusion and slide the bottom panels into the bottom channel of the extrusion. Then we're going to line up all the screws and slide the washers all the way to the end of the screws so that they are up against the button heads of the screws. This is because we are going to take our 2020 extrusions and slide them down the 4 screws on the 2 sides. It is very important to keep the washers in the channel of the 2020 extrusion along with the head of the bolt. Make sure when you're putting on your 2020 extrusion that the end that is threaded is face down and ends up at the bottom of the frame. The reason for this is we're going to add feet to the display. Tighten the screws to secure the 2020 extrusions and complete the frame. Time to add the lights. Take the wire connector for the light and slide it through the opening of the bottom panels in the back left corner. Remove the sticker backing from the LED light strip and take the very end of the light and maneuver it into the back corner on the flat surface of the aluminum extrusion between the 2 channels. Take your time moving around the interior of the frame, pressing down your lights to the frame until you come back to the start. Overlap your light strip and press down. Now it's time to add some finishing touches. The first finishing touch, we're gonna add feet. We should have all 4 2020 posts with the threaded side facing down. I got these feet from Amazon specifically for an M5 threaded hole, and they work spectacularly. Start screwing in the feet one at a time. These look great. The added bonus of the feet is that if the surface is not level, you can adjust the feet to stabilize the platform. That's awesome. The final finishing touch, we're gonna add slot covers to the cover of the holes we made in the 2020 V-slot. Measure and cut 8 slot covers to the length of the 40mm aluminum extrusion. You can do this by sliding the slot cover into the channel of the 2020 extrusion and cutting the end off with a razor knife or X-Acto knife. Take the slot covers and stick them on the 2020 posts to cover up those nasty looking holes. Time to turn on the lights. I'm going to hook up the lights to this RGBW control box. Link in the description. I used a rather inexpensive LED light control box and it works great. Just follow the instructions on how to set it up and hook it up to Google, Alexa, or Siri. It also comes with a remote. Final thoughts. This turned out amazing. Better than what I thought of in my brain when coming up with the idea. I wanted a nice looking display and a stand that I could place on my desk where I could have access to whatever figure I was digging in the moment. I didn't want something fully enclosed where I had to open and close a display to get to my figure. I also didn't want to have the figure on the desk with only its display stand. The platform not only gives me a unique spot that allows me to be able to pose and play around with my figure of choice, but it offers a great display option once I'm finished playing with it. The platform looks sleek and upscale, so you can use it in any room of the house and your significant other won't complain. The platform is great for any collectible that can fit on it, like a Lego set. I love how my bonsai looks with that blue light. Another favorite to have on the platform is my Disney Haunted Mansion Ghost in a Jar. The purple makes it pop. The possibilities are endless for any collectible. You can make your platform any size and customize it any way you want. The directions in this video work for any size platform that you decide to make. Another thing that I love about the platform is that the magnetic top panels open the door for interchangeable diorama displays. Imagine one week you have a desert looking display for one figure, and then the following week you have a Death Star floor panel for a different figure. You can even utilize the lighting and incorporate it into the diorama. This has been a fun journey and I cannot wait to expand on it. What do you think about the platform? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you're looking for a much bigger display option, I've got you covered. I will show you how to make this garage shelf display case for 1/3 of the cost of a Maji case, and it can hold more weight and has a lot more room with this video right here.